this special school meeting. This morning we're going to officially begin our celebration of 25 years of coeducation by hearing from, please feel to hear from Bert Getz Sr. from the class of 1955, who was president of the board in 1985 when the trustees decided that the school should admit girls, and who continued to lead the board during the transition to coeducation. Had the board not made that decision, nearly half of us in the KAC this morning wouldn't be here, and the Lawrenceville that we all know and love would be a very different place.
I've told many people in my 4 years here at Lawrenceville were the best 4 years of my life, and I truly mean that. I had a wonderful product of my thoughts and experiences here, and I've said many times in many places that this was the place that I wanted to do something for because it had meant so much to me in my young career. The entire school was great at that point in time. I was very fortunate to be captain of the undefeated swimming team for that year. I was president of the Griswold House, editor of the Alapod, and eventually president of the school. So as you can tell, I was very active, and I was active because I loved the school. And I hope that all of you are taking advantage of what this school has available to you, because I will guarantee you'll remember it the rest of your life. Coeducation was first discussed in the middle 60s. It was discussed through the 70s and until a vote was taken in 1978. A great majority of the board, including myself, voted against coeducation at that time. In 1983, some 5 years later, we formed a studies group known as the Directions 2000 Committee, which I co-chaired with a gentleman you know and who's sitting down here, the then Dean of Faculty, Graham Coed. Graham and I had a wonderful time together, got a lot done, and as you can tell, I'm here, and Graham has been here ever since. But because the number of our peer schools who had gone coeducational, and with pressure from the faculty and students, this became a major discussion point. There was a lot of give and take, some strongly for, others against, but by far the majority in the middle that weren't sure whether we should become coeducational or not. The report was issued by the board later that year and was taken under advisement with recommendations to be considered by the entire Board of Trustees. I personally spent a great deal of time studying in detail the pros and cons of the question. I visited with a number of the schools that had already made the change and what their results showed. I looked at the difference of schools between those schools that went co-ed by merging with a nearby girls' school, or those that started just by admitting girls on their own. The pros and cons of that time were, and I thought I'd list them here for you, some I'm sure you recognize, but other ones you probably don't. On the pro side was the social change going on in our world at that time. Women were becoming much more active in business, in schools, in almost every walk of life, and therefore it would be natural that women should be educated at Lawrenceville. The faculty made the point that it would improve the class discussion, because females, if you haven't noticed it, have a very different view of the world than many of the males do. So this would just bring a better discussion program. But then on the other side of that, they said it would also motivate the young men, because males tend to want to impress their female counterparts, and so we thought that that would help out the classroom discussion. Another big point was the fact that alumni, and most of our alumni were for coeducation, I might say, and one of the primary reasons was that they decided that it wasn't an all-male world and that they had granddaughters. And the alumni wanted their granddaughters to come to Lawrenceville. It would have been impossible without this change. Faculty, of course, were very much for it. Students wanted it. Statistics were interesting. I don't know if you stop to think, but when you look at the pool of people in this country that would come to a school like this, half of them are female. So we automatically cut half of the available entrance out of the pool. In addition to that, a great number of the boys remaining in the other half of the pool wouldn't go to a all-boys school at that time. They would much rather be at a coeducational school. And of course that led to the fact, as we analyzed the program, that we would also get a higher quality of students because the pool was all of a sudden over doubled in size. And of course that would mean better college admissions, which is one of the primary factors that we look in choosing the students that get to come to Lawrenceville. However, on the other side, there were a number of the alumni that felt there was certainly a place for an all-boys school in this world. There still is. A number of you know of a series of boys' schools that still exist, and they're doing very, very well. Well, some of our alumni thought that that would be the spot that we ought to take. It would involve expensive new facilities, which of course cost a lot of money. And the alumni's attitude for those that wanted to keep it a boys' school was that if Lawrenceville was good enough for me, I'd like my sons and grandsons to see the school the same way that I so enjoyed it. And of course, going along with that is the old axiom, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And certainly Lawrenceville was not broken at that time. But people did worry about how the traditional things that we had, trophies and traditions, could be affected. But that, as it turns out, was not a major factor. But another factor was Bruce McClellan, who'd been headmaster at Lawrenceville for a number of years, had told the board that he was ready for retirement. And with that fact, and the board thinking about hiring a new headmaster, one of the first questions that would be asked in this turbulent times there in the 80s when so many schools had gone co-ed and we were still a boys' school, obviously a coming in headmaster would want to know what the trustees' thoughts were. And it was not good enough to just say, well, we don't know. Wait and see. Yes, be part of that decision. The trustees felt we wanted to make that decision before he came, be it one way or the other. So during the 1985 school year, where my wonderful wife Sandy and I had a child here, I had a time to do a lot of my own investigation, both at other schools and here at Lawrenceville. The question that women were becoming more important in life became more and more a part of our life as we went through those times. So these were all the things that were going through our minds as trustee and looking at it. And it became very apparent to me and to our number of trustees that a number of the trustees that had been neutral before, if you will, in this day called independent voters, were the ones that were going to make up the difference, but they had clearly gone over to the side of coeducation. The one final point, and one not really known, that I mentioned last year in one of the house lunches when I was here, was that I had the opportunity to talk with two of who I felt were the best masters that we had at Lawrenceville. And both of them, independent of each other, they weren't ganging up on me, but independent of each other, told me that they really enjoyed their stint of 7 to 10 years here at Lawrenceville, didn't want to leave, but they were being forced to leave. And I said, you know, what do you mean? I didn't think we had a dean of faculty or headmaster that would be that nasty to one of our best teachers. Why were they being forced to leave? And they said, it's very clear. A teacher at this level throws his whole life into the school he's teaching in. And I can no longer do that because I have girls that are coming along now and going to be going to school in the next couple of years, and I want girls to be part of the school where I am teaching. That really struck home to me. We'd often talked about the fact that, you know, we might not have as full a student body, or at least as exceptional a student body with boys. But again, as I said, one of the major factors was the fact that there is a place for a boys' school. But when I got thinking about it, I said, you know, we cannot be an outstanding boys' school if we don't have outstanding teachers. And I truly felt these two gentlemen were outstanding teachers, and they were just being very honest with me. So that's what threw me open as we went into the latter part, or the year 1985. I was elected as president of the board in January, and found many of the trustees had changed their minds too. I felt that we would be voting on this shortly at our spring meeting, and that coeducation would pass. I didn't want to upset the normal graduation or anything else with celebratory measures or whatever might happen, so I moved the May meeting to June, the day after graduation and school was out. We met on June 3rd, and the vote was finally taken, and it was 25-3 in favor of becoming coeducational. That's a pretty good percentage of people that had changed their minds in the last 7 years. Our decision, of course, recognized the future in which women would be joining men in shaping the country's institutions and professions. The acceptance will make Lawrenceville stronger and further the role of women in the nation. First thing we did was elect several women trustees. We increased substantially the number of women that were on faculty. We faced the financial aspect of girls' houses and went about raising the money to build the 4 Crescent houses as we got to talking to them. So that when our first class came here, 160 women out of about 750 at that point in time, including 29 seniors, felt that the school had always been coeducational. Both the faculty, the trustees, everybody else, we prepared ourselves properly, and this was admitted by all our sister schools that we had gone to talk to, find out what the problems were that they had in doing coeducational, and figured out the answer and put it in place before the women first came. Everybody was thinking, and Lawrenceville was always thought of as a very high academic quality school, and obviously we wanted girls to come that were of high academic quality also, but we didn't want them to feel that that was the only reason. So we wanted to make sure that we had a group of girls that could participate on the playing fields, and that was proven because in our very first year, with only 29 seniors, the girls that were here succeeded in winning the Mercer County field hockey and tennis championships in that very first year, which I think was quite remarkable. Now, 25 years later, looking back at it, all I can say is that our decision on June 3rd was the correct one, and we're delighted to welcome all you ladies here. Thank you very much.